Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.
Are you struggling to conceive? You have options, and at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group, we'll make sure you have the guidance and support you need. PREG is known for individualized fertility care that's unique to every patient. We take the time to provide a reassuring and empowering experience because we believe that you deserve nothing less. Let us help you on your journey to parenthood. Visit us at pregonline.com to learn more. Get the guidance and support you need at Piedmont Reproductive Endocrinology Group.
Stoveleg Media, igniting conversation.
Hey y'all, happy Thanksgiving. It's me, Elena Grace, and you're listening to another episode of I've Been Thinking. I am so excited to bring you all this one. It is one that I have had on my heart for a while. It seems so perfect for Thanksgiving, but frankly, it's been really difficult for me to write. So I focus a lot on growth. That was like my big thing a few years ago, especially. I went through some of the most impressive self-growth challenges I've ever encountered, like late 2017 and through 2018. My whole thing the year 2018 was happy 2018. So I made it a goal to focus on my happiness, right? And I mean, I was doing the damn thing. I really was. I was inspiring people. People were saying, Elena, you're so zen. I've never been zen in my life, but that's how I looked. That part of it really was a facade because I was making such a concerted effort that people just thought that I was. I was overcoming massive heartbreak though, and I was going through these massive growing pains that come with the freedom of being a college graduate working full time. But I was doing really well, and I learned so much about myself. And it was a really good time in my life. But then I met Adam and everything went downhill. No, then I met Adam and I got distracted. And that's my own fault. But I also had I had so much tumultuous energy. I say I'm a spirit of a storm, right? I had all of this stormy, tumultuous energy, and I wasn't channeling it anywhere productive because I wasn't focusing on myself enough. I was focusing on spending time with Adam. My grandmother got sick and I spent the entire summer either at the hospital or at home helping take care of her. My grandfather on my dad's side, on the other side, got sick, and I was spending time worrying about him and making sure I got to see him and all of those things. I mean, I was spending all this time worrying about other people. I was worrying about, am I getting to spend time with Adam? Am I getting to spend enough time with my roommates? Because my roommates were like, hey, we miss you. All this stuff. And then the whole time, my dad's deployed on a mission in Saudi Arabia, And like typically Saudi is a pretty safe place to be relatively, but like while all of this is happening, the Middle East threatens to erupt. So it's like all this stress. And I was spending so much time focusing on other people's needs and what they needed from me and fulfilling that I forgot myself. And that really started to take a toll. So then I start trying to retake my life. Adam and I plan a trip for Ireland right after Christmas last year. And it was an incredible trip. We have the best time. And then we get home and my dad surprises me. He's come home. It's like, wow, 2020 is off to a great start, right? And then less than a week later, my grandfather passes away. And that absolutely devastates me. And it just sends me on this awful spiral. So then at this point, I am losing control of my emotions. I can't handle anything. I'm breaking down in tears all the time. I mean, basically, I have a nervous breakdown. And if you listen to my mental health episode, I go through this also and kind of the steps that I took to take care of it. But I realize how I'm damaging my relationships with my boyfriend and my two best friends, Taylor and Allison, more than anybody. They were the ones being affected. I'm like, shit, I have to do something. So I call my mommy and we go to the doctor, and basically I'm perfectly healthy in my body, but I have terrible anxiety, and that's why I can't control my emotions anymore. And so now I'm medicated, which is one of the best things that I've ever done. But since then, now that I have better control over my emotions, right? And after that just meltdown, I have been trying to regain control of my life. But in the wake of a global pandemic, it's really hard. And I'm 100% sure that a lot of y'all can relate to this story because we've all been through a super traumatic year. Jobs have been lost, people are uprooted. A lot of people have to move back in with mom and dad at 29, or older sometimes, which is really devastating for a lot of people. My mom wouldn't let me move back in with her. Obviously I moved in with Adam, and my grandmother was like, she's moving in with her husband and with her boyfriend, and they're not married yet. And my mom said, do you want her to live with you? And my mom was like, no. And my mom was like, well, I don't want her to live with me. So she's going to live with Adam then. Oh, Lord. Anyway, a lot of people, sorry, Winnie just walked in. A lot of people can relate because we've just all had this absolute shite year. And we're supposed to just continue acting like normal people, like pre-pandemic us. And then for me, I have this idea looming over my head that I'm not the person I used to be, because I loved who I was when I was going through all of that growth a few years ago. I was writing these thoughtful little pieces with zero effort. I was realizing who I am and what I'm worth, and I was just loving I was this incredible free spirit, and I had so much peace in my heart and no worries, and I miss that version of Elena, right? But I've had to come to the realization that I can't go back to peace in my heart unless I let go and give myself grace. I can't ever be that Elena again, because as amazing as she was and as much as I love her, she isn't around anymore. I've got so many new scars. I've loved new people. I've been new places, and I've lost more than she would expect. I know now that the plans she made fall through, and that's like really hard. But what this Elena is doing is learning to be grateful for where she is and for who she is. And she's learning to give herself grace as she grows into the next version of herself. We don't have to be at peace with ourselves during the growing. And I think that a lot of people will tell you to seek the peace and to be at peace with yourself. And you know what? That's fair. Seek the peace. Look for the peace. But give yourself grace. Growth is so painful, y'all. Growth takes a lot out of you. But you need to give yourself grace of knowing that it will all be worth it. Because when you come out on the other side of that chrysalis, you're going to be a butterfly, not just another version of the little slimy caterpillar that climbed into the chrysalis. You know what I'm saying? You have changed so much. And maybe you can't even recognize yourself after all this change. And that's really amazing if you think about it. And you know, those changes they're a part of life. Like, what is life if we aren't constantly changing and constantly flowing and growing? It's boring and static, and we really don't get anywhere. We don't find ourselves, and we don't find any enlightenment. And maybe we find satisfaction in sitting in one place, but damn, how boring is that? But like I said, we have to learn to be grateful for what we have and for who we are. And that's difficult. Oh, it's so difficult sometimes because we don't always love what we have or love who we are. But that's where we have to challenge ourselves to grow into the better versions that the Lord and the universe would have us become. And we have to give ourselves grace because we are just stumbling through the sand, and we never know when the tide will pull our step out from beneath us. We don't know who we will be tomorrow or who will be in a year. And grace is essential to us growing through what we go through, if you will. We have to learn to forgive ourselves for making changes that maybe we don't want to make, but sometimes they're necessary, right? Like outgrowing a friend that we love, but we're just not in the same place anymore. Or becoming too self-aware to continue connecting with that toxic family member. You know, whatever it is, however we grow, we have to trust ourselves. And we have to trust the universe. And we have to find peace that as long as we seek to improve ourselves, things are only going to improve. It's when we stop working on ourselves, stop wanting to improve, that's when we really suffer. And for what? Because, you know, when you're suffering to grow, that's fine because you know there's better later. But if you're just suffering because you can't get yourself out of the hole or because you won't ask for help, there's no point in that, y'all. Because you're just suffering to suffer more later. Like, that's what hell is. That's literally what hell is. But get out of it. Stop. This is me coming to you honestly. I so encourage you with all of my heart to seek out growth, to challenge yourself, to give yourself grace in your falters and your failures, and to be grateful for where you are, who you are, and who you've been, and who you're becoming. We are only here for a little while, y'all. So why aren't we trying to be the absolute best versions of ourselves? But let me tell you from experience, that requires grace with ourselves and with others. I love you guys. I am so grateful for the community that we are creating. I am giving myself grace as I learn, as I become who I am, and as I improve in bringing you all what's on my heart. I am growing. You are growing. So let's challenge each other and grow beautifully together. Y'all subscribe to our Patreon for early access and for extra content, and also to allow me to continue working on this wonderful, beautiful project. Make sure that you follow us on Instagram at I've Been Thinking Pod. Check out today's blog post on I'veBeenThinkingPod.com for the show notes from today's episode and all kinds of extra fun stuff throughout the week. And then subscribe to us wherever you listen. And if you use Apple, definitely give us a 5-star raving review. Y'all, thanks so much for listening. I am so grateful for you guys once again. And I'm so grateful for you all listening to me going on this journey, and as such being a part of the journey with me. That's just really important to me. All right, I'll talk at y'all next week. And again, happy Thanksgiving. Bye.
Hello, you sentient ball of stardust. My name is Casey Davis. I'm a therapist, and I'm an author of the book How to Keep House While Drowning, where I talk about ways to make it a little bit easier to take care of yourself when you're overwhelmed, stressed, have mental health issues, physical health issues, or maybe you're just in a hard season of life. Maybe you're looking for a place that you can come and listen to some practical advice. This is a podcast for all of the self-help rejects. We're going to talk about skills for survival and self-kindness. And I'm going to leave the pop psychology at the door. I promise not to tell you to meditate or to journal. We're just going to give you some really insightful conversations with hopefully some practical advice. So I don't believe you need to pick yourself up by the bootstraps. I don't want you to just try harder, and I don't believe that laziness exists. So join me over on Struggle Care, where we can find compassionate solutions that help us function a little bit better.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.